There is one best starting Animus that you can dive into inside of Etheria Restart when you start out the game. Today we're going to be talking about Tiamat. We're going to be breaking her down, building her out, and telling you exactly how well she synergizes with other Animus inside of the game. But before I get there, I want to tell you guys about how you get her initially. So when you start doing your polls inside of the game, your first 40 polls are going to give you the opportunity to choose an SSR Animus. It's no longer on our screen because we already did this poll, but you're able to choose one, and we will recommend that that Tiamat is the one that you want to pull. Make sure that you make that choice before you pull out a random one that's not going to be as game changing to your account, because Tiamat definitely will be that game changer. Before I go any further, I need to thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video, and I urge all of you to join us inside of the game by scanning the QR code right here or clicking the link in the description so that you can just be in Etheria Restart and play alongside of us. Hermes is here today, and he's going to be taking us through his build of Tiamat and talking about why she is so good and also how he built her out to see that success. Hermes, what are some things you want to talk about here right off the bat?
So I think the first thing I want to talk about is I think it's her kit is a great one. I think this one will kind of go back and forth since obviously, we're both getting into her because we both chose her on our accounts as
Yes.
the start because she is that important. So I'd start with, I think definitely the one to go with is her A3. So the thing to think about is that there's a wall of text, right? There's a lot of text on all these different things. But her A3 to start starts with a very important debuff that can be really valuable all throughout different stages of the game. And that is she has a taunt. So what she can do with his ability is she'll take away 30% of her maximum HP, and then she'll follow that up by then attacking all enemies twice, and then she has a 40% chance to inflict all enemies with a taunt, which forces all of her enemies to hit her as opposed to any of the other target her as opposed to any of your other enemies. What makes that really valuable is that since she's an HP based animus, she is a really high base HP, which makes it really easy to build off of. So it makes her more tanky. And then if she's focusing on the attack, she becomes like a really good tank for your team.
Yeah, and what I really like about HP based Animus are ones that actually heal as well, which brings us over to her A2. And her A2 is going to put a 15% heal over time on all allies for 2 turns. And not only that, it's also going to throw in a shield as well. So that tankiness that we were talking about is now supported with both healing and shielding as well. In my opinion, making her even stronger and kind of a must use Animus.
Yeah. And then to follow that all up, you get right into A1,
Mhm.
what it's going to do is it's then going to do 2 hits again to not all enemies, just a single enemy. And what it is going to do is it's then going to consume 8% of her maximum HP and is going to then deal an additional set of damage based on that. And so when you look at her kit, you kind of go, wow, her A1 and her A3 are both taking away her HP. Why would you want an animus that's going to take away their HP, make themselves less tanky? And that's where her passive comes in with Mother Evolution.
Yeah, and this
So
one's cool.
to
This
get
one's
to
cool because it has this additional or second form, which I think is really special about her. So why don't you take us through that passive?
So that passive, what it's actually going to do is when you come in here, is it is going to every time that she loses 15% HP or she gets healed by 15% HP, she's going to get an additional stack of bloodshed. And what's really valuable with bloodshed is that once she gets 8 stacks, she's going to transform into her alternate form. And in that alternate form, she will then become an AoE HP based damage dealing animus. And that's really important to think about is there's a lot of things you want to build in her kit, but they're all really valuable and can synergize well together.
Yeah, and I really like because we do see some things in her kit right there that talk about how she may lose some health throughout and that process, but we do have some things in place to actually work with that so it's not going to impact you in a negative way. Why don't we go through, since we just went through the kit, why don't we go through some of how you built her out or some of the stats that you have for her at this point?
Yep. So the big way that I've built her up to this point is I want to see speed because again, because she has that A2 where she puts out that heal over time as well as that big shield. I want to make sure that she's fast, but then I also want to add in a ton of HP as well as a little bit of crit rate if I can get it, just for this. Again, we're still in the early game, get an early game build going on her, and then progress that as you go further on. So you'll see here, I've got a lot of speed and crit rate and HP. And if you can get it on the different sets of modules that you have, a little bit of effect accuracy as well can go a long way. You'll see here a lot, again, more HP, a little bit of crit damage, crit rate, and going again, speed and HP. And you'll see right here, I'm using this Swift Rush set because what it does is I've got that 12-piece activator. It gives me an additional 35% speed, which again can be really valuable when you're trying to build her super fast. Now on the second set of modules, it's valuable because I got, look at this, I got crit rate, then I got HP bonus, and I got another HP bonus with the right kind of substats that I'm looking for. Really a great solid early game build is going to keep her tanky and do some damage while being able to keep the rest of your team alive.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad that you're focusing on HP. Now, we talked about that nuke that she has, but really you're spending a lot of focus on keeping her alive so she could primarily play that support role before having to focus all in on that nuking role. All right, do you want to talk about prowess or shell, or do you have more to say over here regarding this?
So I think honestly, so we'll go over her. Well, actually, let's go over Shell next.
Okay.
So Shell is that's like the little like guy that comes with her, and so
Yeah.
I have chosen to, at least for the time being, based on where I'm at, to go with this unbridled science. And the reason why is because after she takes an action, she'll increase this will increase her turn meter by 40% on a 4 turn cooldown. So think about it again. She's got that taunt, but then she gets that shield and that heal over time. So if you can get her back, rotating her abilities, she gives her even more healing and more chance to keep your team alive for longer. And additionally, it helps out giving her that extra 2-piece bonus to get me that full 12-piece set of Swift Rush, giving me that 35% speed.
Okay, so I see how this is all coming together. Now, are there other animus that you like to pair her with, or do you think she's someone that could go with any animus inside of the game? I mean, I know the obvious answer here, but what do you who do you like to pair her with?
I think she can go with any of them, but I think another great one, again, we're looking like more of the early game. What she can do is so another one that is great is taking this reason right here. So remember, she's sacrificing that HP on her A3 ability. So if you come in with this reason shell, what she can do is increases her healing by 25%.
Hmm.
And then additionally, also, if she has less than 50% HP percentage, it'll apply an additional heal over time to get her healed back up to where she needs to be. And that is still on a 4 turn cooldown, but that is another really great shell to pair her with in the early game. And it still gives you it only gives you one, but it gives you a piece of that Swift Rush set to help you get that additional 35% speed.
Got it. I love that. Now, what about animus as well? We talked about shells. What animus do you like to pair her with when you're taking her into any battles?
So a one that I've really enjoyed, I think any great healer is good because remember, she transforms into that damage dealing form anytime she gains or loses 15% HP. So if you get a great healer with her, that really helps speed up that process of helping her cycle through her abilities. And one that I really like to pair with her is Sania, I think. And what she does is she has this great. It's not only is it a revive, but it can be a heal as well, where it recovers 16% max HP for an ally. And so again, think about it. This is what makes it really great is that 16%, because it's over that 15%, it gives her an additional stack of that bloodshed, getting her closer to being able to go over and do some additional damage.
That is something I didn't even think about. So I love, you wouldn't think of pairing a healer with Tiamat because Tiamat does some healing, but it makes total sense as to why you would want to do that. I love it. Any others that you think pair well?
I think early game, like you're always everyone always gets Dorothy
Hmm.
in the very beginning. So I think that she is another one that can be helpful when you're getting early on. This one, of course, her healing is based off her attacks. You have to build her attack really high to get to that 15% heal like you're looking for, like on some of the other healers. But I think she's another great one to pair her with, Tiamat with, because of her ability to once again get that heal in, get her closer to getting those bloodshed stacks.
I love it. All right, so Now that we know how she's built out, the whole thought process, how her shell works with her, and basically all of the reasons why you love Tiamat and why she should be the first SSR that you pull, or at least on your first 40 pull, where do you use her inside of the game? What are some of the areas of the game that you think that she is the most effective?
In the early game, I am literally using her everywhere. There is not a piece of the game in the content that I am in right now that I do not use her.
Wow.
And so I use her in all my challenges. I use her in arena. I use her in your union boss. I use her everywhere because of how much utility she brings. In addition to bringing that damage dealing element, it is just so valuable what she brings that I'm like, I'm just going to use her everywhere. Like it just makes it so much easier to get through all these different areas of the game.
Sounds like she's one of your favorite animus inside of the game. That's what I'm getting out of this.
100%. Now, I will say, as you progress, he is going to obviously, you're going to have more animus built out. You're going to need to switch up and kind of specialize people more. He is still going to be really, really good in arena, but another area is going to be this Doki Doki boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am actually just unlocked Nightmare, and so I'm excited to see what I can do. Hopefully, try to get me some of this improved Swift Rush gear. But I use her in my hard three team, and it has been great. Like it has been great to go in and be able to just kind of forget about the run because it'll go on auto in the background
Mm-hmm.
and just run her alongside again my healer that I love, and then some other damage dealers and turn meter boosters, and really just gets the job done every single time I need her to.
So why don't you take us through while we're watching this battle a little bit? Take us through what she's doing when she's doing it, so people can have a decent understanding of it in action.
Yeah, so let me actually let's see. So what she's really doing on this team. So you start out. So this is a the Doki Doki boss is really interesting because Doki Doki isn't actually in the battle. She's just powering up the enemies that you're going against.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Tiamat is doing in this battle is she starts out by trying to taunt all the enemies, making them so that they have to attack her instead of any of your others. You'll see that's what just happened right
Mm-hmm.
now is that they're going through, they're taunted and having to attack her. And then what happens is then I have her turn meter gets boosted and she comes in, make sure everybody's topped up and applies a shield. So once those taunts run out, she then gets that shield applied. And you see just right now, she just transformed into her alternate form. And so now she's ready to go in and nuke. Now that we've got that first wave down, we're getting on to the second one. And so now she's going to help us finish out this rest of this wave by just coming in and helping Leanne to nuke the entire wave.
No, this is awesome. I love her in her ultimate form, and it's really unique to have something, an animus or a hero or champion, if we're talking about this whole genre, that has all of this really solid healing and support for the team, but also have such a strong nuke as well. So I think that's really what makes Tiamat so unique here, and as you said, so desirable. Probably should be almost everyone's first few SSRs that they unlock inside of the game. Well, while we watch this one go out, I want to thank you for coming through and bringing together this kit. I think that a lot of people are going to have a better understanding at this point in time as to why Tiamat is so important for their teams, and maybe even put a little bit more urgency on them unlocking it themselves. Again, I want to remind everyone that Etheria Restart has sponsored the video. I want to thank them for that. And if you want to play the game, click our QR code or scan our QR code, link in the description. Join us inside of Etheria Restart. We have more guides teaching you how to be the most efficient players you can be inside of the game. And we'll be back with another one for you guys tomorrow.